What's going on, everyone? It's Starfield Dad back with another build video. And guys, at the time of this recording, we are T-minus 16 days away from the release of the early access for Starfield, and I am getting more excited by the hour. With so much more information yet to be revealed, I cannot wait till we can get into the game and experience everything that Starfield is going to have to offer. And I hope that this series of build videos does help you on your first playthrough when Starfield launches. And if you happen to go into Starfield on day one with one of these builds and you find a way to tweak it and make it better, let us know in the comments what you did. I look forward to hearing from everyone as they share their experiences, especially that first week of Starfield. But without further ado, let's get into this build. So just as my first build, the melee build, was a blunt force trauma, go headfirst, tackling anything at your whim was, this build will be on the opposite end of the spectrum, as it is the classic stealth build. If you've ever played any RPG where a stealth build is possible, you'll know how much fun you can actually have with a stealth build, though the gameplay can be a lot slower at times. But if you're up for the creeping and the crawling around and sneaking behind enemies, this build could be just right for you. Now, the stealth mechanic in Starfield works similar to any other BGS game where you'll have a hidden bar on the top center of your screen. As you become detected or concealed, the bar moves back and forth. You can also get a sneak damage multiplier while in stealth, including using silencers on your weapons. The idea is simple. In a stealth build, you want to crouch outside of the combat to enable the hidden bar at the top of your screen. This will enable various skills and perks that could amplify your damage, movement, and miscellaneous parts of your build. Then your goal is to move undetected without alerting enemies, including melee or range damage, while stealth. It's even possible to do melee kills with knives, medium range weapons such as a silenced pistol, or even long range shots with a sniper rifle, all while being stealthed. Now, as I said in the melee style build I did, all of this can change once Starfield launches based on what we know currently. But with that being said, I think the best background for a stealth build in Starfield is going to be the Cyber Runner. And that is because the Cyber Runner will have you start with 3 great skills, which are stealth, security, and theft. These are a perfect fit for a sneaky character with an emphasis on evading detection. Now, one negative is that the Cyber Runner does not have a starting skill for a weapon bonus, but we'll make up for that here later in the skills and weapon choices. And if you don't know, the Starfield backgrounds, also known as starting classes, determine your character's origin story with 3 starting skills. You can only pick one background. Each will provide your character with a certain buff, benefits, and NPC reactions. The Cyber Runner background goes as follows. From Neon to New Atlantis, the megacorps stand as monuments to power, prestige, and profit. You've worked hard, both for and against them, and the inside and out, often sacrificing conscience for credits. And as you can see below that, it gives you details on the 3 starting skills you require with this background. Stealth is explained as you value discretion above everything else, and while undetected, deal extra damage with silenced weapons. As it states, that's going to be huge going forward. If you can't sneak up behind an enemy with a melee weapon, a silenced weapon is going to be key to keep you in the stealth buff and to stay undetected. And with any stealth build, we love picking locks or hacking into terminals, especially in previous BGS games. So the security skill is added just to that, where it says ability to break codes and bypass security and locking mechanisms. And just like any other skill, you'll start low, but will eventually be able to upgrade your skills to max levels. And the third skill, theft, goes as, while not entirely honorable and certainly not legal, it is nonetheless occasionally necessary to discreetly remove property from someone's persons. And let's be honest, it's always fun to pickpocket an NPC in any of these games. Now, when it comes to traits, we know one thing is certain, is that you can pick 3 total traits. Though some traits can contradict each other, in this build, there's one major trait that's going to help above all the others that we know thus far, and that is the wanted trait. What makes the wanted trait so powerful is that you become essentially a quote-unquote tank, where you purposefully lower your health to do more damage. Though with the Cyber Runner background, you will have no bonus for weapon damage. The workaround to this is to one-shot everything in the game by lowering your health to enable this buff and staying in stealth throughout all combat engagements. To fill the other 2 traits that you're allowed to pick to make a total of 3, you can go with any trait you like currently. Once the game launches, though, I will do an update video with new information that I find along the way. Myself personally, I'll probably play around with the Dream Home trait, where you have a luxurious customizable house on a peaceful planet, but you do have a 50,000 credit mortgage that you have to pay weekly. I picked this one because I really want to see how luxurious this house truly is. And my third trait would kind of go along with the Cyber Runner, mainly because it's a neon street rat. You grow up on the mean streets of Neon and you gain access to special dialogue options with better rewards. Anytime you can get more dialogue options is always better in any kind of role-playing single-player game. But moving on from there, we're now at the skills part of this build, the real meat and potatoes portion of it. And if you hadn't seen my previous video, the Starfield skill system includes multiple skills spread between 5 categories of skills: social, tech, physical, science, and combat. Skills from every category will upgrade, customize, and enhance your Starfield's character's playstyle. Skills can make your player more powerful in combat, efficient with weapons, maybe a better negotiator, and a ship pilot, or even increase your base statistics like health and endurance. So as of right now, not all the skills are known, but we will highlight some important ones to consider, especially for this stealth build. Early on in the game, your go-to skill tree is the physical tree. Though we're going after stealth in the tier 1 slot, later on in the tier 4 is the concealment skill, which is going to be a priority for every stealth sniper you want to build in Starfield. Moving on to the social skill tree, you wouldn't think it would have a lot to do with a stealth build, but this tree does have some important skills. In Tier 1, for instance, theft is an obvious choice for making credits to support your weapons and ammunition purchases. In the second tier of the social skill tree, you'll find intimidation. While not a stealth trait by heart, there will be encounters that require dialogue, and this might help avoid unnecessary engagements with your enemies. Next up, talking about the science skill tree, you'll have that where stealth players typically wouldn't use this tree much at all, but this is helpful for crafting, outposts, and starships. But for pure stealth and gunplay, this will limit your advancement and damage until you need to craft specific chemicals. So please keep that in mind. Now, the combat skill tree is an obvious choice for weapon perks that you should focus on, and even better targeting options. The Tier 1 skills ballistics and pistol certification makes a great pairing for early game gunplay. We don't have any core details on ballistics, but for pistol certification, it says considering the popularity of the personal sidearm in the settled systems, familiarity with such weapons is often considered essential. It says pistols do 10% more damage, and obviously you have to rank that skill up to get it more proficient. As you advance to the second tier of the combat skill tree, you'll find rifle certification. And though not a lot of details yet about that have been revealed specifically, we do know that this will make a great choice when engagements play out over medium distances. And in Tier 3, you'll find marksmanship and sniper certification and targeting. Depending on your preferred weapons and their loadouts, these make great choices mid to late game. And finally, in the tech skill tree, this won't be our priority focus, but the security skill in the first tier will allow us to bypass security systems. So consider taking this along with stealth early in the game for easier access to locked and secure locations. As the game launches, I will have new videos to update these as more skills are available and skill suggestions I'll have for each level. I've covered a little bit in the weapons category about how sniper rifles and pistols with a silencer will make the best weapons for this stealth build. With this in mind, your character will be equipped to handle multiple engagements regardless of the range. Now, Starfield weapons do come in 3 broad categories, and that is physical, energy, and electromagnetic. This build will primarily focus on close-range weapons and 1 long-range weapon. What we know so far is that engagements happen either in the open world or close quarters, so you need to be prepared for both. So far, we know that you can carry up to 12 weapons depending on your character's strength. You can also modify these weapons, including the ammunition, silencers for the muzzle, and long-range barrels. And once more information is clear once the game launches, I'll come back with update videos also on weapons and weapon modifications. Now, moving on to armor, like I said in my previous video, we have 4 basic categories: spacesuits, packs, helmets, and apparel. Each piece of armor has damage reduction and resistance, physical energy, and electromagnetic. Armor will also include resistances to environmental effects such as thermal, airborne, corrosive, and radiation, which we saw a little bit of that in the Starfield Direct. Other than that, not much is known about the armor in Starfield, other than it has chances to drop legendary armor with powerful traits. And the goal of any build, whether it's melee, stealth, or anything else, is to increase your damage, reduce damage taken, and be able to tackle any situation. And based on what we know so far, you're going to have to carry multiple spacesuits or different armors with you at any given time, depending on what atmosphere or what planet you're landing on. It could be harsh environments or it could be light environments. And it could be with the story campaign or just while exploring. But at least this way you would have an optimized set of gear that amplifies your weapon choices for each encounter, whether that be pistol, rifle, sniper rifle, etc. And of course, once I get more details when the game launches, I will continue to update you all. And in a nutshell, with the stealth build, you just basically want to focus on perks that can apply without alerting an enemy. For instance, having the incendiary armor trait looks exciting with a 10% chance to ignite nearby attackers. But also our goal is to pump up your damage, range, and mobility while stealth, not fight it out, alerting the enemies from every corner. Also to prioritize anything that aids in your sneaking, critical damage, or sneak multiplier. Now something I didn't talk about in the melee build was companions. And based on some information we know, I think these are the two best companions you could take with you on any stealth mission. And your number one choice is going to be Sam Coe. Because based on the clip we saw in the Starfield Direct, we know he has rifle certification and plays at range. We don't know 100% details yet, but I think Starfield will have story roles for your companions to play, with many having interesting backgrounds and personalities that we'll discover along the way through personalized side quests. And with time as your relationship grows, some may even become available to romance. We know there's only a few that can do that, but Sam, either way, makes a great companion for range builds to aid in sniping. Now, my other companion I would say to take on you on stealth missions, and you may not expect this coming, but it's going to be the Adoring Fan. And in order to get him, you have to pick the fantastic trait Adoring Fan at the beginning of your character creation. By now, we saw the clip where the Adoring Fan ambushes you by following you around everywhere and doing whatever you need. The plus side of this is that he has the concealment skill right away. We don't know many other exact details yet, but this is a must deal when being hidden, which is perfect for this build if we can handle the Adoring Fan by our side 24/7. But that is my take on the stealth build, and I think right out of the gate, we got some good information that we do know 100% certainty on that we can go off of. But again, a lot is unknown. So as the game launches here on August 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern, which I will be live, we can go through it together and see what all we didn't know about that we will know about and update these videos accordingly. And if you found any of this interesting or think it will help you on day one, consider subscribing and commenting below what kind of builds you're going to play as on day one. Until next time, everyone, this is Starfield Dad at Astra.